Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast, brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVRealtor.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Super, how are you?
Fabulous. I'm excited. We got a guest coming up later in the program. Rae Luskin is an author, and she's come up with this really cool concept. The creative activist is what it's called, and that's what the whole movement is, being an activist creatively. So I'm excited to chat a little more with Rae and get all the details. Coming up also, going to be talking about those folks at MIT. They're smart guys, right?
Oh, of course.
And girls. Just want to make sure I get that in there. Well, a scientist at MIT is videotaping 400,000 hours of footage of his son from birth to age 3 to document language development in babies. I've never, ever thought of that before. But think about that. The first 3 years of your life, all the things that you learn, I think there is a lot that we can learn from paying attention to a baby. So 400,000 hours.
What do they intend to do with that? I mean, what are they going to do with that? Because
break it down
all babies learn that same way. So what are they going to do with it?
But what they're going to do is they're going to utilize that to help us learn additional things, because you learn more in those first 3 years than anything else. And this is specifically on language development. Think about if you said, hey, I want to learn a new language, how hard that is for us, but it's easy for a baby. So they're trying to break into that and figure out why that is. Coming up, we got some other things about holding hands. Ooh, I can't wait. Maybe we'll hold hands when we tell you. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get razors for $1 a month plus a few bucks shipping, so you can enjoy fresh razors every month for as little as $3. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.
Do you want to hold my hand for this story, Heidi?
No.
Come on.
No,
Come
just
on.
do
Reach
the
over
story.
here. Well, it says holding hands and kissing reduces levels of stress hormone cortisol, lowers blood pressure, and optimizes your immune responses. So, Heidi, next time you say you're stressed out, I'm going to give you a hug and a kiss. How's that sound?
You're supposed to hold my hand. It didn't say anything about hugging.
Oh, did I put that in there? Well, I'll hold your hand while I hug you and give you a kiss.
There you go.
Hey, in Bakersfield, California, a burglar was captured after he took time. This guy's a moron. He broke into a house. While he was there, he thought, I'm going to order a pizza and I'm going to do my laundry.
Oh, my gosh.
He got caught. Broke into a house, got caught while he was ordering a pizza and doing laundry.
Oh, my gosh.
What an idiot. Who does that? Well, they're delivering the pizza. Wouldn't they, if they've ever been to that house before, wouldn't they think that's suspicious? If nothing else, they could call the pizza place and say, could you describe the guy that got the pizza? You had to pay for it somehow. Hopefully you didn't use a credit card, you idiot. Anyway, that all happened in Bakersfield, California. And coming up, we have even more stuff we're going to talk about this. So hard to believe, but you have to, because you're going to hear it on the radio.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
Heidi, you know it's true because you heard it on the radio. There's a new thing called movie rage, and it's sweeping the nation. Now, you've heard of road rage, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of like that. According to a poll of emergency rooms, more and more patients are going to the theater to see the latest flick, and they're coming home in an ambulance. Movie rage makes road rage look like child's play, according to Dr. Jorge Gonzalez.
What could you possibly be getting upset about?
Well, he's an ER physician at Our Lady of Angels in the outfield in San Diego. It says here, I patched up a woman who was viciously stabbed with a nail file.
Whoa!
She kept answering her cell phone during a movie.
Oh, well, she had it coming.
No, she didn't. The lady sitting next to her went berserk. The survey showed the behaviors most likely to result in assault with a deadly weapon in a movie theater are talking to somebody that's with you. So quit doing that. Crunching popcorn too loudly. Come on, people.
Okay, that's a bit much.
Repeatedly sucking the last 2 dribbles of soda from a straw. Answering your cell phone.
Yeah, that's a big one. That one bothers me.
Plastic candy bags. Tripping boxes of Raisinets or snow caps. Oh, tipping them. So the contents slide back and forth. So they're like making noises with them. Blurting out the ending of the movie and kicking the back of the seat and the person in front of you. Those things have each one of those have led to an emergency room visit from somebody. Like I said, this one that we just talked about, she was stabbed with a nail file. There have been other people assaulted in numerous very creative ways. So
I could see some of that.
You know, I don't think I would be angry enough to put somebody in the emergency room for any of those things. Maybe,
well, no, maybe a few strongly worded
or maybe
sentences.
Just kind of turn around and raise the old eyebrows like, really? You know, I could see that.
I'm sure those people all started with that, don't you think? I don't think it went from somebody crunching their popcorn too loud to being stabbed with a nail file. I'm sure it escalated. It escalated to that point.
I just figured you were going to keep doing it. Oh, I know. This violence in the movie theater, they've got a new name for it. It's called movie rage. Be careful if you're going out to see the latest flick. You know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again?
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. Heidi, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Trees and alcohol just don't mix. A drunken student recently spent the night in a tree, and he had to be rescued by British firefighters. The student climbed a 100-foot tree, well, he got 100 feet up anyway, in a pine tree, without any shoes on, and he fell asleep. 8 firefighters needed 90 minutes and a bunch of ropes and pulleys to get him down. One of the fire officials put it, alcohol and climbing trees just don't mix. So apparently climbing the tree, he did okay. It's the climbing down that he didn't do hot.
Huh.
So, how did he get up there? No shoes. You'd think that hurt. Have you ever seen a pine tree?
Yeah, but when if he had enough to drink,
apparently.
he probably couldn't even feel it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what happens when your brain is on drugs. Coming up here a little bit later in the program, we do have a guest we're going to be chatting with. We'll be visiting with Rae Luskin, talking about the creative activist. It's a movement she's working on. We'll tell you all about that in a bit.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Now your moment of duh. Every one of these always just makes you wonder what they were thinking. A blowtorch. It's not a good substitute for a broom. Do I need to say that? Coweta County authorities say Galen Winchell set fire to his West Georgia home on Wednesday of last week when he was cleaning some cobwebs from the exterior eaves.
Oh, my gosh.
Decided, hey, why use a broom when I got a blowtorch? He noticed the blaze when he saw smoke pouring from the attic. The fire investigator, James Gant, said the fire was contained to one part of the house, but the entire home had smoke and water damage. So, again, he was cleaning cobwebs with
not a good
blowtorch.
Not a good idea.
Just want to make sure you understand this, Mr. Winchell. Everything around those cobwebs are also flammable things. So, yeah, you don't do that.
But
it's a bad idea.
I believe I remember you using a blowtorch in our driveway to try to get rid of ice.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. It's a completely different moment. Come on. Coming up, we have your scoop of the day.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. Heidi, are you a fan of the Real Housewives franchise?
No.
I haven't gotten into any of those either, but I do know that there are people who absolutely love them. And Bravo announced last week the expansion. They got a new series coming out of Dallas and one coming out of the Potomac, Maryland area. So going to be more Real Housewives on TV here soon. I think we should have the Real Housewives of this radio program. You imagine
There's only one.
Well, I know. It would make it interesting. While few people enjoy a trip to the dentist, it's particularly bad for redheads for some reason. Scientists discovered that people with red hair are twice as likely as blondes and brunettes to avoid the dentist because of fear-related anxiety. The Journal of American Dental Association researchers there, it was reported there, but the researchers say they believe it is the gene melanocortin-1 receptor, whatever that is.
I'm not a redhead, and I am terrified of the dentist.
I don't know why you're afraid of the dentist. What has the dentist ever done to you?
I don't know. I just have major anxiety attacks. I don't know where it comes from. And
well, they say that this thing I was telling you about, this melanocortin-1 receptor thingy, that causes red hair. It also might be present in making people more susceptible to pain. So it's saying that if you have red hair, you might actually be more susceptible to pain. All right. Scientists are warning residents in the southern states about the spread of the invasion of crazy ants. They've named them crazy ants because they're crazy and they're ants. All right. Just wanted to share that.
What do they do?
I don't know. They're crazy ants. I don't know.
You felt the need to share this, and yet you know nothing about these crazy ants.
No, I just think it's funny they're called crazy ants. Hey, for more than half of Americans, Black Friday is just another day. Last year, 56% of Americans didn't go out shopping that day. Why? Mostly because the crowds. A third of the respondents also felt that the deals being offered were just overblown. I for
agree.
one, am not a fan. I don't.
Oh, I love it, but the deals last year were terrible.
Were they?
Yes.
Well, if you didn't like them last year, you won't like them this year. I was told that like 50% of the deals from last year have been just carried over to this year.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, a bunch of the stuff that's going to be on sale this year is the same junk they didn't sell last year. Hey, gift cards have become the go-to present when you don't know what to get somebody. Like everything else, they're now going digital as well. Guess how much the average shopper spends on gift cards, or at least plans to spend this year on gift cards?
Per gift card
No.
or on gift cards total?
Total.
$600.
No. Wow, you are so generous. $173.
Oh.
That's what they're planning on spending on gift cards. So either you are extremely generous, or you just don't know people well enough to get them a good gift. So you're like, I'm going to give everybody a gift card. You're all getting a $1 gift card, and I know 600 people. All right, a hungry criminal broke into a bakery and found some cakes that were to his liking, so much so that he ate 42 of them.
Oh.
Might have stopped at 41 because he suffered a severe indigestion issue and couldn't even move. Security guards heard the moaning coming from the kitchen. They called the police, who arrested the overeating criminal. 42 cakes. I'm assuming they're little cakes.
42 whole cakes?
They had to be small cakes.
Like cupcakes, maybe.
Must have been. I don't know. Steve Bartlett had his bicycle stolen, but he wasn't the least bit sad about the incident. The Minnesota teen says a burglar broke into his garage and stole his bike, but he left a different bike, a better bike, a nicer bike for him.
What?
Steve called the unknown burglar very considerate and said, it was actually nicer than my bike. Maybe they'll rip somebody else off and give them my bike in its place. So
I wonder what the point of that was.
I have no clue. So he came and stole his bike and left their bike for him. All right, that is very strange. But we've got a strange law to share as well. And our strange law comes from Ohio, where it is illegal to get your fish drunk in Ohio. So I don't know exactly why they have an issue with that in Ohio, but there it is. It is illegal to get your fish drunk in Ohio. That's your strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RoughToughKennels.com. Dog kennels and accessories sent to your front door wherever you live. Your dog deserves it. Learn more at RoughToughKennels.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest today. We're going to be talking about how to turn your pain into purpose. And we have a creative activist that can tell us how art can change your life. And that person is Rae Luskin. Rae, how you doing today?
I'm great, John. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Well, we're glad to have you on the program today. And I'm excited to talk to you about this because this is something that really is important. There are people that go through bad things. They go through tough times. They have things that happen to them. And I think you can really tell a lot about a person based on how they respond to what happens to them. And it kind of sounds to me like you feel that same way.
I do. I think that we as a society, I believe that too many times we're victims and we stay in that victim mentality. And I believe healing is a choice, and we have, it's a mindset. It's we can be positive, we can be negative. We can take whatever challenges we've been given and ask, why me? And stay in that space, or we can say, how can I use this to make a difference in someone else's life?
And when you're talking about this, you're talking about this with some experience. You've been through some things that you could have chosen to be the victim, but you chose not to. You decided, hey, I'm going to make a difference instead, right?
Right. I've been sexually abused by my grandfather from age 7 to 13, and I have to say I was a victim for a really long time. So I understand how scary it is, how hard the work is to get from one place to the other. But I literally one day made a decision. I started writing this list. I'd been in a serious depression. Now, I had been through talk therapy, and I'd gotten healthy enough to have kids and family, and, I was living the dream, but I was miserable. And so I started making a list of all these terrible things that happened to me, poor me kind of thing. And I said, okay, this is not how I want to live. because all I could think about was ending the pain, and I didn't want to do that. I had children. I wanted to be there to see them grow up. And so I made a choice. I was going to take my healing into my own hands, and I started on a personal development quest. And I started reading all these books, and not just reading them, but doing every exercise. And so I'm an avid journaler. So I used to have, piles and piles of journals. And then I did have a therapist who said, why don't you paint, or draw your feelings? Because I had been an artist. It was a double-edged sword because my grandfather was an artist and had his art studio. So I hadn't done any artwork in like 12 years. And I started with scribbles and doodles. And it was like a miracle. I could not believe the difference, because when I was actually drawing how I was feeling, I was like releasing it. There were like levels that I was like, oh, wow, I started to change. People noticed. I was happier. I felt like I had more courage, and I was just lighter every time I started to draw these feelings out. And then I started to actually paint them in realistic kind of, pictures. But it's a process. It's about, it balances your brain, your right and left hemisphere, and you're creating new neural pathways. So it's about a thought process. And so it was such a huge difference in my life that I decided I had to do something with that. And for many years, I had an art school called Art and Soul Connections, and I worked with kids and families with these techniques of process. How do you get through this? How do you build resilience and build self-esteem through the arts? And so that was part of my journey. And the other part of my journey was service. When I had gotten divorced, and that was right. So, and everybody has challenges, and we have to find ways to deal with them. And I went to the movies, and I cried my way through 2 movies. The first time I didn't have my kids over Thanksgiving. And I went to a 12-step meeting, and they said, do something for somebody else. And I'm like, wow, okay. So Christmas was coming, and I didn't have my kids again. So I went to the local art store, and I bought a bunch of art supplies. And I made baskets for the kids at the hospital, and I took them to the hospital. So kids who were there over the holidays had something special. And the nurses loved me, and the kids were happy, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. Nice. And so I could see the value in being of service and sharing my passion and my gifts, and that's what the Creative Activist is all about.
That's awesome. Now, you've been from the beginning all the way through the end, and like you said, you've been doing that for over 20 years now. But if there's somebody that maybe is going through this right now, they're going through the pain, what would you say are the initial steps to turn their pain into purpose?
I think the first thing is to really, you have to go through it. You can't bypass it, and I know a lot of times we try and push it down. I was one of these people who would either shop it away, eat it away. I never wanted to deal with the pain. So you got to acknowledge it and give yourself credit for that. And I think that's one of the first keys, is just saying, okay, I am in this space, and it's okay, and I'm still a good person, and then you have to forgive yourself. Because we carry so much guilt around. I should have done this. It should have been this way. Whether it's a relationship that failed, we usually go to, what did I do wrong? That kind of thing. And so I think we have to forgive ourselves. Those are, acknowledge where you are, forgive yourself. I do believe in journaling. I think, as I said before, it's a big key to start talking. And if you need help, find a coach, a mentor, a therapist to get you from A to B. There is no stigma. Many years ago there was. It's like, I'm 65, and in those days, going to a therapist was like a horrible, horrible thing. And there must be something drastically wrong with you. Well, there was, but at the same time, it was very helpful in getting to that next level. I believe in when I journal too, every day, if you can, just spend a few moments just scribbling your feelings. Notice what you're noticing, because so much of our pain is reflected in our body. And so, how many of us, walk around like turtles with our shoulders up, or oh my God, you're just talking about you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. So, start paying attention to what your body's feeling and scribble it. So those are little ways. It's so much about noticing what you're noticing. And when you can do that, you can sort of lean into the discomfort, and you can lean into the pain. And when you do that, it shifts. and it isn't so bad then.
Again, visiting with Rae Luskin. Rae is a social advocate, founder of Art and Soul Connections and The Winning Adventure. Also the author of The Creative Activists, Make the World Better, One Person, One Action at a Time. Now, if I would like to find a copy of this book, where do I find that?
It's on my website. It's also on Amazon. What's unique about this book, it includes 36 stories of people who, just like you and me, who've been through different challenges in their lives and have used their experience and made a difference in the world. Some of them have just taken their passion and shared it with the world. And within each of those 36 stories, it's designed so there are 3 questions and a take action step. And so you can break this down and read one story. You can focus on one question. So you become aware of who you are in this world and about how you want to be in the world. Because without a vision, we're just existing. We all have gifts. We all have experiences. And I think sharing our story changes everything. The first time I told my story and my knees were knocking, I was terrified. I didn't want to hurt anybody. What would they think of me? And this woman came up to me afterwards and she said, "You saved my life." It's powerful. We all have those experiences, and the way we handle them with grace and not so graceful at times, the humanness of us and the mistakes we've made, we can help somebody else on their journey. So I believe in telling your story.
That's very nice, and it's great that you're doing this. What an awesome thing for you to do. Again, visiting with Rae Luskin. The book is called The Creative Activist, Make the World Better, One Person, One Action at a Time. Available right now at thewinningadventure.com. Also available on Amazon. Rae, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, John. Have a great day.
Definitely, you too, and thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by CarsForSale.com. If you're in the market to buy a car, truck, or van, find thousands of vehicles to choose from at CarsForSale.com.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Wednesday, the 18th day of November. It is European Antibiotic Awareness Day. I am not aware, so I need to become aware. It's also GIS Day, which stands for Geographic Information Systems. It is Married to a Scorpio Support Day. It is National Education Support Professionals Day. So educational support staff, we're supposed to recognize them today. That's what your mother does, right? She's an educational support person. So there you go, Mama. National Apple Cider Day, Push Button Phone Day, and Mickey Mouse Day. Only thing I'm going to remember later today is that it was Mickey Mouse Day. I'm not going to remember any of the other stuff. I don't even remember most of it now. Apple Cider Day, I guess remember that. But I do know this. It is Wednesday, the 18th day of November.
This portion of the program is brought to you by StoneGroupArchitects.com. It's more than a building. It's design and function working together. Check out the project portfolio at StoneGroupArchitects.com.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale.
Oh, my goodness.
What does that come from?
Gilligan's Island.
Exactly. Also known as, according to one person on the internet, hell. Yeah. There's a interesting, very interesting, I'm not sure what you call it exactly, example or a person where they have a theory. There we go. Interesting theory that Gilligan's Island was hell. And I never thought of this before, but I read this guy's little theory online, and honestly, there is something to it that isn't completely crazy. I watched it all the time. Did you watch Gilligan's Island?
Yeah, I never thought of it as hell. In
No?
fact, I would give anything to be stuck on that island right
But
now.
here's what he's saying. He thinks that there's a direct representation of hell, eternal punishment. And here's where he goes into it. He says, the 7 deadly sins are all represented with characters. Ginger represented lust. She wears skimpy outfits. She's obsessed with her hair and her looks, and she's always acting seductively in order to get her way. Marianne represents envy. She's jealous of Ginger's beauty. And I'll tell you, I'm more of a Marianne girl. Marianne guy. Not girl. I'm more of a Marianne guy. The professor represents pride. He's an annoying know-it-all and always sure to show off his abilities at any opportunity, but for some reason he can make a radio out of a coconut, but he can't patch a hole in a boat, and so I'm pretty sure pride is maybe not working so hot for him. Mr. Howell represents greed. No explanation needed there. Mrs. Howell represents sloth. She never has to help on anything. And the skipper represents 2, gluttony. Again, no explanation needed. He's a bigger guy like me. and anger. And he was always beating on Gilligan. Now, that leaves Gilligan. So why not Gilligan for one of those? Well, they say that he was the one that actually got them to the island. Every time they had an attempt to escape, who was it that messed it up? Him. It was Gilligan. And they say that he represented the devil, and that's why he always wore red. I think you might be reading into this just a little too much.
Maybe just a bit
but
too much.
If it was online, I read this, I was like, you know what? That is definitely worth sharing because I've never thought of it that way.
It's an interesting theory.
And I don't know if that's what they meant when they were putting it together, but, there you go. It's one way to look at the Gilligan's Island. Sorry if I just ruined any fun childhood memories for you. Coming up, X marks the spot. We're going to tell you how a magic marker might start making it into the operation room. We'll tell you all about that.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVWheelator.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
For those of you who listen to this program, you can probably tell that I am not a doctor. I'm just making sure I say that in advance. 4 years of college, 6 or more medical school, internships. You'd think by the time you become a surgeon, you would kind of know what you're doing, right? Well, they have had such an issue of people amputating the wrong body parts.
I've heard that.
It's become so bad that health officials are saying they want to start using a magic marker and make that a regular part of preparing for surgery. X marks the spot in this case. Nancy Ridley, Deputy Commissioner of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, says there are 6 to 8 such wrong site surgeries in her state every year.
Oh, my
6 to 8
gosh.
every year. That's just in one state. The National Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations says patients or their surgeon must mark the proper surgical site prior to going into the operating room. That would take care of all of it. So they're going, hey, you know what? If it says to remove his leg, you should just write on there, take this one, leave this one. So they make sure they take the right one.
Well, I suppose.
My right is your left. I was like,
that's
you
what
mean
I'm
your
saying.
left.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
If they say the left leg and he's standing there looking at him and he takes off the
sorry,
leg that's
back
to
into
the doctor's
anesthesia
left.
for a moment. Guys, get some more of that.
That's what I was going to say. I'm sure that's where a lot of the confusion comes
I don't
in.
know what's going on. All I know is that it's nuts. Coming up, we got a Seattle man who totaled a stolen car, and, that's an interesting story. We'll tell you all about it. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by GunUp.com. If you're a gun lover, you'll be in heaven at GunUp.com. Built by experienced military veterans, shooting sports competitors, and publishing professionals. They have awesome stories and articles that are read by millions of gun enthusiasts. Check it out at GunUp.com.
This is kind of an interesting story from Seattle. A 23-year-old man there totaled a stolen car, hot-wired 2 more cars, crashed both of those into vehicles, all in the span of 22 minutes.
Whoa!
Police were called shortly after noon when the man crashed a stolen car into a utility pole. Well, he took off in another stolen car, sending pedestrians jumping out of the way as he sped through a crosswalk. Then he crashed into a parked car across from a high school. That's when he decided, I'm going to steal my third car in 22 minutes. Police were in pursuit. He drove off again and eventually hit 2 more cars. He ran through an apartment complex, and police finally caught him on foot. So let's just say this. This 23-year-old Seattle man, he was not having a good day.
Wow.
Why would he be crashing into everything? What is wrong with this man?
I don't know.
So they caught him, and like I said, they caught him on foot. So apparently his quick getaway on all those stolen cars didn't help a whole lot. Coming up, what is art? Have you ever looked at art and just thought, I could do that? We got an interesting story to share on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You can get razors sent to your door each month for just $1, plus a couple of bucks shipping. It's an amazing deal. Log on to dollarshaveclub.com/radio to learn more. That's dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now, back to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
Art is such an interesting concept because what I look at and I see one thing, you look at and see something completely different, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, many times.
And now there's some art where they paint, a bowl of fruit and it looks like, hey, that's a bowl of fruit. But, if they paint something that is abstract, that's what we're talking about here. Have you ever looked at a piece of modern art and thought to yourself, man, that's just a bunch of junk? What were they thinking? I know I have. Well, there's a guy by the name of Keith Armstrong, and he is a lecturer from Nottingham, England, and he says he hates modern art. But unlike the rest of us, he decided to do something about it. He put an old piece of plywood in an exhibition and won a prize.
Oh, wow.
He entered the contest as a prank and ended up winning the prize.
Oh,
He found a piece of scrap wood with some grooves from a cutting machine, painted it white, and called it Millennium Dawn. Surreal, huh? Experts at Nottingham University did not catch on to his joke, and they called it, and I quote, an abstract sculptural piece of work.
Oh, my goodness.
Armstrong just said, it's ridiculous. I only did it as a joke, and it took me 2 minutes to spray paint it. The University Gallery's Neil Bennison insisted it is a reasonable piece of art. I remember just a few years back, there was a piece of art that was created by like a 2-year-old that was playing with paint. Mom was working on a contest. She was doing this thing for a contest, and a 2-year-old started messing around with paint, and now Mom was painting her, modern art, and the kid was just splashing paint around. And she said, you know what, that's really kind of cute. So she put it in the contest, and the 2-year-old won the contest. And they were like, wow, it's such an amazing use of negative space. And they're like, yeah, or it's a 2-year-old splashing in paint. One or the other, or maybe both. So I tell you, I used to like to paint, and I did abstract stuff. But I didn't do it because I thought it was going to be worth millions. I just did it because I was like, you know what, I like playing with paint. So to each their own. I wonder what a John Small original is worth these days.
I don't know. We have a large one hanging up in the living room.
Well, how much is that? Probably, what does it cost to throw it in the dumps? $10? So it'd be a negative $10 investment for you if you'd like it. All right, coming up, we do have some good news on the way. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-259-7646. They have hundreds of channels to choose from, with many packages to fit your viewing desires. Learn more at 1-800-259-7646.
I scour the earth high and low, looking all over the place to find a nice little story, and then we got one like this right here. Our planet is on the brink of a global water crisis. The U.S. government predicts that 40 of our 50 states and 60% of the Earth's land surface will soon face alarming gaps between the supply and growing demand for water. Okay, you're saying, where's the good news? Keep listening. In a remarkable defiance of this water emergency stands a little country called Israel. Despite their unforgiving terrain, the rapid population growth, and their low annual rainfall, Israel is not only fending off their water crisis, they are boasting a water surplus. They even export water. Now Israel is exporting its water technology and their expertise around the world. In fact, water and water know-how is becoming Israel's primary tool for global engagement. So it is absolutely amazing, because you wouldn't think of, hey, people who have an abundance of water. You wouldn't think of somebody in the desert. But that's why, because where they're located in the world, they're going, hey, we
have to come up with something.
We got to find a way to make this stuff work.
Well, good for them.
So it is amazing that, and here's the thing you got to think about. How much is that technology going to be worth even a few years down the road? Because right now, 40 of our 50 states are in trouble.
Yeah.
60% of the Earth's land surface is facing all kinds of issues. So that's where they're saying, hey, you know what? Having good, clean, potable water, which means you can drink it, that stuff's going to be more and more and more important. So hats off to the folks over there in Israel doing that.
Hopefully our next leader wants to be their ally so that they'll share with us.
There we go. Hey, can we have some water? Some water, please. All right, time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you again for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. Pretty good chance it's going to be a Thursday. Pretty good chance. Thanks for listening.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can learn more about these crazy cats if you go to their website, dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Why would I call them crazy cats? I mean, who else would make this so affordable to buy razors? Who else, when they're sitting on $1 billion industry, multiple billion, I think it's a $15 billion industry, they could have charged $5 a month and it would have been an awesome deal. They said, no, we're going to do $3. They could have charged $7 a month and it would have been a good deal. No, we're going to do $3. So $3 a month, razors delivered right to your door. All you got to do is check them out online now at dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Let's head to San Francisco, Heidi. A man there was jogging on the Gary Street Safeway. Jogged into the Gary Street Safeway grocery store. There we go. The man jogged around the store grabbing a canned ham and several other items without breaking a pace. Then he shot through an unoccupied checkout lane and jogged out the door. The checkout clerk and several other bag boys were in pursuit. The jogger ran across a nearby Webster Street, looked back over his shoulder, shouting, "You'll never catch me!" In that very instant, he got hit by a car. He was rushed to the hospital and treated with minor injuries. What an idiot. So he came jogging in the store, gonna grab some stuff, got a ham, got some this, some of that, ran out the front door, and then got hit by a car. All right, if you want to keep your family road trip entertaining, I thought this would be kind of a fun thing to share because we've got Thanksgiving coming up, Heidi.
Okay.
When is that? That's not this week, is it?
No, it's next week.
Next week. Is it Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of people traveling here soon. If you want to keep your family road trip entertaining, the Arlington Convention and Visitors Bureau offers these tips for maintaining your sense of humor on a family trip. Number 1, hold fake auditions for American Idol at every truck stop.
Are you kidding?
They're saying to do it at the truck stops.
Oh,
with
my gosh.
truckers. This is from the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Arlington. Hold conversations only by quoting movie lines, song titles, and lyrics.
Well,
So,
we pretty much do that on a daily basis.
we pretty much do. Implement the rule, only one in-law per vacation. Take it one step further and ban in-laws altogether. So you can't have your mother-in-law, your father-in-law. So they're saying that, I don't think so. I think my in-laws are fun. They say play Chinese fire drill every time you get in a traffic standstill. You know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
Why do they
Everybody
call
gets
it that?
out and runs around the
I don't think
car.
that's a really good name for that because it doesn't make any sense. But you get out of the car and run around for whatever reason. I have no idea how that became a Chinese fire drill. All right, try going the entire car ride without using your children's middle names. Oh, I see. So, like, if they get in trouble.
if you have to yell at them.
Another way to keep things fun, according to the Arlington Convention and Visitors Bureau. So far, this has been a heck of a good list. Beano, Gas X, Ziploc bags, and duct tape are your best friend, really. So saying, hey, bring that stuff along. Next, invest in a foreign language tape and learn to say, "Don't make me stop this car" in 12 different languages.
Oh, my gosh.
That would actually be kind of fun. Our daughter recently learned a little bit of Latin, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yes, she did.
Because she's got a boy that she kind of thinks is a pretty neat guy, and she's right. He's a pretty cool guy. That he's learning Latin, so she thought, you know what, I'm gonna send him a message in Latin. I was like, pretty smart. Apparently, this young lady is related to Heidi. I'm saying that's a Heidi kind of thing right there.
That
wouldn't
is
you
a
say?
Heidi thing.
I think so too. All right, we've got I'm looking over here. I've got one more story that I'm going to share with you here. A Russian thief did just that, and there was no stopping him. I apparently deleted a line.
You clearly deleted a very important line.
Well,
what did he do?
I don't know. Let's just make something up. Hey, he wrote a letter to somebody in Latin.
You don't have the rest of the story either?
No. I have I got the rest of the story. Let me read the rest of it anyway. A Russian thief did just that, and there was no stopping him. That's because the car was in for brake repairs, which had not yet been completed. Witnesses watched as he flew through a set of traffic lights and smashed into another car a few yards down the road. The man was arrested and charged with theft. So I'm thinking maybe the headline might have been, "Don't steal a car that has no brakes."
Awesome.
Yeah. So he stole a car with no brakes. I'm going to just wrap things up.
Yeah,
How's
I think
that
that's
sound?
probably a
gonna
good
do it for
idea.
a bonus break. I'm going to figure out
You
what I
think
did.
it's Monday.
I must have deleted a bunch of stuff. I have no idea what I did there. Well, that's going to do it for the bonus break. Brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. Learn more about those guys at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.